Hello everyone and welcome to Great Games for Your Time. Today we are going to be doing the extraordinarily unexpected Nintendo game Where's Waldo. My whole thought process was that there was absolutely no way ever in the history of the universe that I would ever stream this game, even though I do own it on Nintendo. But I was inspired by a certain Pokemon Scarlet video game as seen here. Hey, I prepared for this. I stared at Where's Waldo books for hours as a kid. Wahaha! And so I thought, I can stream Where's Waldo for Nintendo. And in fact, speaking of Pokemon Scarlet, there actually is a character dressed exactly like Waldo. The red and white striped shirt and blue pants. So if you have not checked out my Pokemon Scarlet playthrough videos, see if you can find the Where's Waldo lookalike in them. So speaking of me owning this game on Nintendo, here is my show and tell item. And interestingly enough, this is one of many games that was given to us, my sister and I, for Nintendo. This is a very interesting game, and I'm going to save various bits of commentary while I'm actually playing it. So interestingly enough, if I zoom in close enough, this is by THQ, Toy Headquarters. Did you know that's what THQ stood for? So I do actually have a little bit of history with Where's Waldo, so I'd like to actually show off a few more show and tell items. So here was the first Where's Waldo book ever created. Then there was the follow-up, Find Waldo Now, and again, notice how politically correct Martin Hanford was because, look, Waldo is covering his face with this book. He is prepared for the world's deadliest virus, although ironically, the more up-to-date versions of this exact book show Waldo's entire face. Oops, sorry pro-maskers. Then this brings us to the Great Waldo Search, and as you can see, I also have the see-through version, which is actually pretty cool. It made all of the kids at school so jealous that I was able to see through this book. But honestly, this is probably my favorite book out of them all because it's kind of like the earlier ones were very sparse and easy, and as the series went on, the overall pictures became more and more dense with characters, whereas this one seems to have that perfect mix of there's lots of detail, there's lots of crowds, but it's not too overly crowded. For some reason, I think what actually came next was this soft-covered sort of playbook, Where's Waldo the Ultimate Fun Book, which is actually incredibly difficult to get your hands on. I've searched on Google to see if I can get like a new sealed copy of this for like a collection sort of aspect, and these babies are like long sold out. It's pretty interesting. But what's equally interesting is I actually already have two, because this was the one that I looked at and took everywhere and used a lot. There might even be writing in it. And so then I actually did, when I was super young, got a second one for a spare. But hey, look at that, I always had a genius mind for collecting, didn't I? So not only did I love Where's Waldo books as a kid, but I also loved to do mazes and even create and draw mazes of my own. So one of my favorite scenes in all of Where's Waldo book, which unfortunately is covered in a considerable amount of green, was this maze picture here. Then the books kind of became more and more crowded, so we have the Where's Waldo in Hollywood, and then I will say, finally, the Where's Waldo Wonder Book, which I believe is kind of the last, absolutely true blue, complete book with all fresh original illustrations. Because it is true, I picked this up later, Where's Waldo the Great Picture Hunt. This book also is kind of like what's supposed to be the next book. It does contain a lot of illustrations that have already been used, as well as several pages of various mini games, and so I don't necessarily consider that like a true blue mainline next book. But it is interesting to kind of see what has been done in the last several decades. It's not necessarily the case that we get new Where's Waldo books, but maybe Martin Hanford creates like one other illustration and then releases some sort of book or another that has one brand new picture, but a lot of rehashed pictures from previous works. So in that regard, I would say I pretty much have a complete collection of Where's Waldo books, but I loved to stare at these. I'm a very detail-oriented person, so I could entertain myself for hours and hours and days, especially since my parents loved to travel and we were always driving for what seemed like centuries when I was a kid. Having something to entertain myself like that was perfect. And not only that, it's not just the fact that you have people in a picture. The Where's Waldo books are incredibly special because you have storylines with almost every single person placed, and it's even entertaining for adults as well to be able to look and deduce the stories of these people's lives just by looking at their picture. Like, for example, we might have a very average looking guy who is seemingly married to a very average looking woman on a beach picture. Now, ordinarily, we might not think absolutely anything of this. However, very close in proximity to this very average looking couple is a strikingly beautiful bikini-clad woman. And thus we have this average looking man who is already married looking over and thinking, wow, what a beautiful woman in a bikini. And then you have his average looking wife giving her husband a dirty look. And so you see that simple thing of just those three characters tells so much story. You see so many storylines in a single illustration. It's not just entertaining to see if you can find Waldo or the various other hidden items. So is it the case that I was obsessed with Where's Waldo as a kid? I would answer that yes and no. It is true I loved the books and I was obsessed with the books. However, the interesting thing is, this seemed to be exacerbated by the problem of people always said that it was so hard to shop for me. So I would say I was probably the dark-haired, with legs, boy version of the Little Mermaid, as far as I was just the boy who had everything. Or if you were actually thinking of the live-action mermaid, then everything on that list, plus the white version. But as the boy who had everything, people had no idea what to buy me as gifts. And since they could see that I loved looking at Where's Waldo pictures, it seemed to be the case that every single person, every time there was some gift opportunity, would buy me something Where's Waldo related. And so it's pretty fascinating, like I could wake up in my bed and have Where's Waldo sheets, and I could slip into Where's Waldo slippers and go eat Where's Waldo cereal. At which point I could get ready for school and I could even put on Where's Waldo socks and brush my teeth with a Where's Waldo toothbrush. And not to mention Where's Waldo shirts. I mean, Where's Waldo shirts that have Where's Waldo logos. And then of course once I get to school I could use Where's Waldo pencils and Where's Waldo pens and Where's Waldo markers and Where's Waldo notebooks. And it was never ending because then I could put all of my schoolwork in my Where's Waldo backpack. So that was my life in elementary school until I guess people figured out different gifts they could buy me. So for example, I believe when I hit middle school, my grandma only ever bought me shaving kits for the rest of her life. So as you can see, with a lifetime supply of shaving kits, even though the American culture is like all bearded men because clean-shaven men are also baby-faced, well, look. My now deceased grandma can be proud of me because I'm still using her shaving kits. Alright, so I was overly optimistic in a certain Pokemon Scarlet video, seen here. You know, this actually reminds me of a certain Nintendo game that I might have to stream now. It'll take me all of like 20 seconds to beat. Yeah, if I had $1 for every time I used exaggerated hyperbole, I'd be a billionaire. But honestly, I'm willing to bet I will be able to beat this game on easy in less than 5 minutes. But the interesting thing is, even though I am only going to be playing this game for probably 5 minutes or less, I was still absolutely thrilled to design all of these beautiful graphics. Like, you know, guess what? I may never be famous, but my stuff is gonna look the best on the internet. And on that note, I bet this prologue video is going to be considerably longer than my actual complete full playthrough video. So thank you so much for watching. This is Great Games Before Your Time.